Oakland TV is possible by the generous support of Chopper Russo Team Remax Select, Oakland's top team since 2013. The JMOR Connection, Inc. Reliable, professional IT services and solutions for your home and business for over 3 decades. The JMOR Connection, Inc. JMOR.com. Mark Albala. Ryan Schwertfeger, proud to be an Oakland resident since 1998, a member of the Communications Commission since 2017, and the Commission's chairman since 2018. Thank you to the volunteers who make all of our programming possible, bringing transparency, entertainment, and information to the citizens of Oakland. William Sisti. And with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
I would like to thank everyone for coming this afternoon, and we, as a special treat, we have the Indian Hills High School Choir is going to sing the national anthem for us. So if we will all please stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, choir. Great job. Okay, I'd like to take a moment right now to recognize some of our fire department officers that are here. All right, we have Assistant Chief Chris Hoitzma, Captain Andrew Palawak, Lieutenant Grady Dyes, Assistant Chief Don Johnston, Lieutenant, he's not here. All right. I also would like to recognize Matt Goodrich from the First Aid Squad, and with Mayor and Council, with Mayor Eric Kamala is here, Council President Kevin Stolinsky, Councilwoman Caroline Rose, Councilman Pat Pignatelli, Councilman Steve Saliani, Councilman Russ Talamini. Would the mayor come up and say a few words?
You can be seated.
Thank you, Dan. First of all, I just want to, everybody just look around. If you look on the fire trucks over here and over there, each one of the fire trucks says, remember 9/11, always remember. And here we are 24 years later, and I'm looking at the audience here, looking at the age group. Most people here in the audience really remember what happened on that day and where they were. But I want to thank the fire department for doing this every year, because really the fire department is really the torchbearer and the soul that really carries this 9/11 ceremony forward every year. And with that said, I just want to take a minute. We had one resident in Oakland who passed away. His name was Thomas McGinnis. And Thomas and his wife moved to Oakland in 1999. So I'm going to read an article that was posted in the Oakland newsletter several years ago. It says, remembering Thomas McGinnis, Oakland resident who perished on September 11th. When terrorists attacked the World Trade Center on September 11th, Oakland resident Thomas McGinnis was on the 92nd floor of the North Tower. He was in a conference room with co-workers from Car Futures, where he was a commodities broker who had been having a meeting at that time. An American Airlines Boeing 767 was deliberately crashed into North Tower at 8:45 a.m. The 41-year-old called his wife Ileana that morning to tell her he was trapped, according to published reports. It looks really, really bad, he told her. She told him not to despair and to have faith that he would get out safely. You don't understand, he told her, which was recounted in a North Jersey article. There are people jumping from the floors above us. If we get out of here, it will be a miracle. He thought of their 4-year-old daughter and said, take care of Caitlin, I love you. And the last thing he said was that he had to get down. His widow told North Jersey that the connection dropped. She later realized that the cell call dropped at the time that the building collapsed at 10:30 a.m. The North Tower and every person believed above the 91st floor died, and there was a total of 1,344 people. Now in Oakland we have the Thomas McGinnis Way, which is the road which is right next to Borough Hall that goes behind DPW in memory of him. And there's also a rock down by the roller rink. It says, in loving memory of Thomas McGinnis, 6/4/1960 through 9/11/01. So let's just keep Thomas McGinnis and his family in our prayers. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Eric. All right, there's two other people I just want to introduce, and then I'm going to turn it over to our chaplain to continue. We have Pat Pignatelli in the back on the bagpipes. He's a member of our First Aid Squad. And we have Ken from the Lakeland Marine Detachment. He's going to sound taps for us. And now here's our chaplain, Russ.
Again, on behalf of the Oakland Fire Department, I would like to thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon to remember 9/11. This wouldn't be possible without those fire department members that were here to set up this display for us of the flags. It also wouldn't be possible without the businesses in town that helped to make this possible today. Placed in the lawn here are 343 American flags that represent the 343 firefighters and paramedics that gave their lives that fateful day. And they are laid out like the Twin Towers. I really appreciate a department that takes the time to remember this day and how important it is. At this time, I'd like to ask Pat Pignatelli if he would play Going Home on 9/11. A total of 2,996 people were killed in the 9/11 attacks. At the World Trade Center, 2,763 died after the two planes slammed into the two towers. That figure includes 343 firefighters and paramedics, 23 New York City police officers, and 37 Port Authority police officers who were struggling to complete an evacuation of the buildings and save the office workers trapped on higher floors. And as the mayor said, that number includes one from our own community, Thomas McGinnis. Now, New York wasn't the only place on 9/11. We have the Pentagon. 189 people were killed, including 64 on the American Airlines Flight 77 that struck the building. And then there was Flight 93, where an additional 44 people died when that plane crash landed in Pennsylvania. Since 2001, more people have died of 9/11 related illnesses than on that fateful day. Now, I want to share a few things. I had the opportunity to serve at Ground Zero. It was about a month after September 11th. The day started out, it was a Sunday, started out and there was a special service for firefighters in Paramus. Following that service, we went down to Liberty State Park where we were asked to work as chaplains and present urns of soil to those victims' families, some of whom would never recover their loved ones. After an afternoon-long session of doing that 2 by 2 as chaplains, we were working and serving these victims' families. Just as we finished up, a member of the New Jersey State Police came in and they said, "We need you down at Ground Zero. We need you to go down and work with the emergency workers there." And the concern was that so many of them were working and not taking care of themselves. And they asked us to go down and make sure that they were getting food, that they were taking care of themselves, and that if they needed anything, that they were getting it. We spent the whole night at Ground Zero. And having been a firefighter for several years, one thing struck me. Here we are at a scene, and I've been at scenes here in town where we've had fires, and when you're walking around inside the building, you know what this was or what that was. But there was nothing recognizable. There was just this powder everywhere. And that struck me, that there were no phones from desks, no pieces of furniture, nothing, just dust. And after serving there all night, we were taken to a recovery center where we were fed and had time to decompress with what we saw. Well, I can tell you, that night and into the next morning, I remember calling my wife from the recovery center, and I said to her, "We just came out. I wish you could see what I saw, and I'm glad you didn't see what I saw." To this day, those images are still burned into my mind. The smells, the scenes, the buildings with pieces of steel sticking out of them. All of that, I will never forget. While we were in Ground Zero, they did recover a firefighter but it was still a couple of days before they could get him out. And I will never remember, I will never forget what went on when they found this guy. Now, years later, 9/11 has a new meaning for me. As a person that was down at ground zero, I now deal with the 9/11 illnesses. And it has altered my life. Even back to the fact that I am just about a month out of the hospital from the last round, which included brain surgery. We don't know the full effects of what 9/11 has done to our population, but we're going to be remembering this for quite a while. But there's one thing that we can do to make a 9/11 a day better than remembering all the people that were lost. We have set aside September 11th as a National Day of Service and Remembrance. The September 11th National Day of Service and Remembrance is the culmination of efforts launched in 2002 by the nonprofit 9/11 Day. And it has wide support by the 9/11 community and leading national service organizations. This effort first established the inspiring community and a tradition of engaging in charitable service on 9/11 as an annual and forward-looking tribute to the 9/11 victims, survivors, and those who rose up in service in response to the attacks. I want to encourage you personally is to get involved in your communities. You can volunteer in so many different ways. I'm sure your elected officials will have some ideas when your help could be needed. I can tell you that your fire department, your first aid squad, they can always use volunteers. The fire department I saw had reposted a post today, and it says, join us. We still have empty cubicles for you to take up with your gear. Come down, find out what it's all about. But most of all, not everybody's cut out to be a firefighter. Not everybody's cut out to be EMS. But there are so many ways you can serve your community, and I encourage you to do that. Volunteering can be exciting, fulfilling, and you can learn new skills, make new friends, and get back to a community that you call home. Why not make 2026 a year of volunteer service? Will you join me as we pray? Good and gracious God, today we come before you with heavy hearts as we remember the events of 9/11. For some of us today, it's a mixed bag of emotions. We hurt deeply for those who lost their lives and those who lost their loved ones. We mourn the nearly 3,000 that died that day, and we are humbled by the bravery of our first responders. We continue to grieve with our neighbors the loss of our national innocence, our false sense of constant safety. As we think of the way that New York and DC responded with churches, synagogues, and temples opening their doors to all people, as we remember strangers carrying each other out of buildings, as we are reminded of how those who had much shared with those who had lost, and as we remember the bravery of the responders and the passengers and the crews of the different airlines, United Airlines Flight 93. Our pride wells up in us. The headlines following 9/11 read, "Today, we are all Americans." And we remember the immediate call to war and the more than 1.5 million deaths from it. God of all people, teach us to be patriotic, but humbly so. Teach us to see the frailty, beauty, and value of life in light of this tragedy, rather than using it to elevate trivial differences to the heights of divisive reasons for hatred. Remind us of the response of the American people and the true heart of this nation's people as it was revealed in open doors, open arms, and open hearts. May we never forget that on that day we did not focus on nationality. We did not focus on political party, wealth, or education. We focused on need, on humanity, on love. Call us back to that place in our hearts. Instill in us the deepest sense of call to be that people once again. We remember all those who even today still suffer from the loss. May we continue to heal and help each other just as we did on that day. We ask this in your name. Amen. As I was praying and as I heard the call go out for the first aid squad, I just want to remind you that whenever you hear those sirens, somebody's responding to an emergency. You know, whether it's our police department, our fire department, or our first aid squad. And you don't need to be a member of any of those organizations to remember to say a prayer for their safety as they respond. Many times they don't know what they are walking into. At this time, I would like to ask Pat Pignatelli to play Amazing Grace. At this time, I would like to ask everybody if they would stand with me as Ken Geisberg sounds taps. This concludes our ceremony for today. Please join us inside the firehouse and enjoy some refreshments together that have been provided for us. This is a time for us to come together as a community. Thank you for coming.
Oakland TV is possible by the generous support of Chopper Russo Team Remax Select, Oakland's top team since 2013. The JMOR Connection, Inc. Reliable, professional IT services and solutions for your home and business for over 3 decades. The JMOR Connection, Inc. JMOR.com. Mark Albala. Ryan Schwertfeger, proud to be an Oakland resident since 1998, a member of the Communications Commission since 2017, and the Commission's chairman since 2018. Thank you to the volunteers who make all of our programming possible, bringing transparency, entertainment, and information to the citizens of Oakland. William Sisti. And with support from viewers like you. Thank you.